The Shepnaz podcast begins now.
You're listening to the Shepnaz podcast, a podcast by Shepherd Church. Everything we do here is to connect our community in a meaningful relationship with Christ, and we're expecting great things. My name's Joey. I'll be your host today, and we're taking a break from our regularly scheduled stuff where we've been talking about generosity and stewardship. And we've got some special guests, Dan and Daniel, today to talk to us about a recent trip that happened, a Compassionate Ministries effort in Kentucky. So we're going to hear from their heart and what God is doing there and how you can be a part of it. And it all starts right now. All right, fellas, Dan and Daniel, thanks for being here today, guys. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having us.
Good, thanks.
Good. Real quick, so we're not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I'd love to hear maybe how long have you been a part of Shepherd, and what is something that you get to be a part of here that you love doing? So we'll start with Dan.
So I haven't been here quite a year yet. My wife is a worship pastor here. When she got the job here, I found out that there was a Christian school and tried to worm my way in there. So thankfully now I'm working just across the parking lot at Shepherd Christian.
Awesome. Great. Daniel?
I was trying to think. I've been here for probably around 4 years now.
Okay.
I came out here to Ohio and for work and met my wife, who's actually Joe's daughter.
Yeah. Producer extraordinaire of this podcast.
And I've been kind of joining a part of the tech team for basically since the beginning.
Awesome. Well, over the past week or so, we've been diving into Pastor Rob's sermon series on Money Matters, but we're going to take a break from that today because we've got you guys in studio. And something that we wanted to talk about, it was kind of shine a spotlight on compassionate ministry, something that we're passionate about at our church. Something that Dan, you brought up to us, I think it was back in the fall, if I remember correctly, but everything runs together. Would you kind of talk to us about kind of how you got, like, what was leading in your heart? I think you knew of this organization previously, but it came to your attention that there was a possibility of doing a trip. Just kind of help us walk through the beginning stages of this, bringing it to Shepherd and how we got to be involved.
So yeah, I've been on 10 or 12, maybe 15 of the trips with ATS and Samaritan's Purse.
Okay.
And gained so much from being a part of those that I have just tried to want to share it everywhere I've gone. And so the church we attended before, hundreds of people went from that church on these trips. And as soon as I got to Shepherd, mentioned it to Pastor Rob and others on staff here, and they were excited to have this opportunity here too.
Yeah.
And so the way ATS does it, in October, he sends out an email to tell people about the upcoming trips, rebuild trips. And so I'll then share that information with whoever's interested in being involved in a rebuild. He tries to stay within an 8-hour drive from Northeast Ohio, where they're based. And so this worked out great for this trip to Kentucky. He came straight down 71, picked up Daniel, and went straight to Kentucky to serve.
Great.
And I wanted to mention, too, ATS does both rebuild and disaster relief, so that when Gary, who runs ATS, gets your email, he'll send it out saying, like for instance, when the tornado hit Mayfield, he sent out an email saying, I'm taking 15 people to Mayfield to clear debris, tarp roofs, the type of stuff in disaster relief. And the first 15 people that volunteered went on that trip. I suggest the rebuild trips because it gives people an opportunity to plan ahead and say, okay, I can get this week off in January, or this week in April works best for me, or there's a week coming up in June that I can schedule my vacation around it, and so that if I can't just go at a drop of a hat, I still have an opportunity to serve.
Yeah, that's good. And ATS stands for After the Storm.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's built for more of a structured, like we're gonna we know the storm's coming, and so after the storm comes, we're gonna structure this that we're gonna have teams come in frequently. Another great perk of these trips was that the cost was relatively low.
Yes.
Yeah.
ATS provides transportation to the job site. Samaritan's Purse provides your meals and housing at the job site. And so that's one of the coolest things to me about offering. If there are people who want to go to another country and serve, working witness team in Africa, and they have lots of money and are willing to do that, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But there are people who'd like to serve who don't have lots of money, who could go and be a part of something like this at almost no cost.
Great. Take some of the excuses and the obstacles away. It's good.
Right. There's no excuse.
Yeah, it's good. And so Dan was able to bring this to us, and we were really excited about the possibility. I know living recently living in Florida, these sort of things happen all the time, and having people who would come and who would serve and who would kind of rebuild is really important, and I'm thankful for it. And then it kind of got shifted from you to Daniel, because Daniel was able to make that trip happen. So would you give us how did the decision go, Daniel, to say, I'm in, I'm going to go, kind of by yourself, people you don't know? You seem like a super extroverted person, that you were excited about that part.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Extroverted, very extroverted. I might be as extroverted as Grant was.
Yeah, I mean, you seem super, yeah. So.
No, I had grown up, my parents were youth leaders, and they both, they would always have us go on similar types of trips. We went to West Virginia at least twice for different things. But I hadn't done it for several years, and it was just something that was kind of put on my heart, that I wanted to bring some of that back into my life. And then when the opportunity got brought up at the church, it was basically the perfect timing. I had vacation available, and I had the opportunity to choose from a number of dates so I could fit my schedule. I didn't have to worry about trying to find a time and busy schedule with work. I could pick a time when it's a little bit lower.
Cool. So what was the trip like for you?
It was very interesting to see. When I grew up, we didn't even have tornado sirens. Like, we had one tornado watch. It wasn't even a warning. It was a watch. And that's the only time I've ever really had tornadoes. When I moved to Ohio, just going around on a Wednesday afternoon was the first I'd ever heard tornado sirens running. Mm-hmm. So to go and see the damage from that storm was very powerful to see. Just little things like as go through the downtown, the traffic lights are still just all rotated into weird directions. Mm-hmm. The light poles are just folded at the halfway. But to also get to work with and meet other Christians and other people who have the same service mindset is just very helpful and beneficial, to continuing to grow in Christ.
What are some of the things that you were able to be a part of when you were there?
So while we went, we worked on siding. We had the back porch, and for a couple of days when it was raining, we tried to work on some smaller inside projects. One of the nice things about the work that they have done there is you don't have to have skills to come and work on it. They'll take anyone from any skill level.
Okay.
And they'll teach you how to use the tools that you need to use and make sure you're working safely.
Mm-hmm. And so with this sort of a trip, would you suggest that this is something that everybody should do? And if it is, where can we find some more information about what trips kind of are scheduled? So maybe you first is this something that you would be like, I'm going to go again, and I want people to come with me next time? I
would absolutely go again. It would be great to have people to come along. While I was there, I was one of the youngest people there. it is it's a little bit of an older age group. I think it may depend on the time of year as well. At the time of year in January, the people who have time off, there are a lot of people who are retirement age. We did have a couple younger people, but you are in the minority.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to see some younger people come out to something like that.
Okay.
And to me, that was why I was so pleased that Daniel volunteered, because you're right, there's lots of people who are older who they're retired and they have some construction experience and they want to go and serve. They want to do something, and that's great. But I want to see the next generation come up. I want to see people like Daniel involved in these kind of things and drawing other young adults in as well. That was at the church we left, that was my biggest goal, was getting those guys online. And it took me about 5 years to get that group of people going. But once they did, then that just snowballed. And so that's my hope here to see.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to turn anybody down. Anybody who wants to serve is welcome, but I really want to see young adults especially.
Great. And where can my be able to find what's coming up next with specifically with ATS?
So there's a trip coming up in April, but that trip is full. There's another trip June 4th there are still openings on that June trip. And so if there are people who are out there who are interested in serving,
sure,
contact me and we'll get you set up with Gary. The main thing I want to do is hook people up with Gary, the leader at ATS, and get him on their mailing list, as I said earlier.
Okay.
That now I don't need to be involved in Daniel going on future trips because he'll know about them the same time I do.
He's on the list. So if you want to be a part of one of these trips, so you can go ahead and email us at podcast@shepnaz.org, and we'll send that on over to Dan, and he'll get you hooked up so that you can know what's going on. Compassionate Ministry is at the root of our church. The Nazarene Church has been a part of Compassionate Ministries forever. The Church of Nazarene was founded on ministry to the poor, the broken, and the lost, and it was never meant for the high elite class of society, but always for people who were in desperate need. And so this is the very fabric of who we are. So we want to encourage you to be a part of some of these things that are happening. Talk with Dan, talk with Daniel, and see how you could be a part of something like this.
Join the millions who will never have to worry about money again. I know that sounds like a commercial, but it's not. Commercials ask you to buy something. Shepherd Church wants to give you something. As we've been diving into the teachings of biblical stewardship, we realize the importance of giving you the tools to get from where you are to where you need to be. With that in mind, Shepherd Church has secured a site license for Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. This is free to all those who call Shepherd Church their home. This includes all of their premium online resources and every dollar budgeting app for all of 2023. If you're ready to get in on this, then email podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know you want the code to unlock your financial peace.
You guys have anything else that you'd like to talk about, that you'd like to add to?
There's something else I'd like to, I don't know, this is the first time I've gotten to hear Daniel's story.
Yeah.
But one of the things I always tried to do when I was there would ask people to, when people who'd lost their homes would come and have dinner with us of an evening. Mm-hmm. They were all invited, and it was a regular thing to have those folks have dinner with us. And I always wanted to hear their story. It always was something like, we lost everything. And we can't understand why a guy would come from Ohio to help rebuild our home. Mm-hmm. But we're so thankful.
Yeah.
And that's to me made it worth the trip. Just knowing that those folks, sometimes it's years before they get back in their homes. Their homes with the tornadoes are totally destroyed. And there's going to be a complete rebuild. But it's just hearing from them that you're the hands and feet of God. You mm-hmm. have come to do something for them they couldn't do for themselves.
That's good. Awesome.
I say we didn't have dinner, but we did get to meet the family that we were whose home we were working on, and their story. I don't want to share that directly over the podcast because that is their story, but it was a very moving story through that process. One of the things about Samaritan's Purse is they step in where other organizations aren't able to fill the gap. So the family that we were working with didn't qualify for FEMA. They didn't qualify for federal aid. And it's nice to see that we have organizations that can step in and fill that. They actually have a big project working in that community with a subdivision of 60 homes, I believe, which is just a large undertaking. And they include a storm shelter in each of their homes to give more peace of mind. For
one of the
too.
coolest things about the Samaritan's Purse homes when they build them, that the bathroom is in the middle of the house. It's concrete walls and a door that will hold up to an EF4 tornado. And so,
Wow.
if they get hit again, they know that they have a safe place.
Well, guys, I'm thankful for you. If you're listening and you want to learn more about ATS or Samaritan's Purse, go ahead and email us, and we'll get you hooked up with Dan so that he can get you some more information. If you want to learn more about the actual trip experience, I'm sure Daniel would like to talk with you. You can let us know. We'll get you in touch with him too. That's going to do it for our episode today. We're thankful for them for joining us. We want you to subscribe wherever you get your audio. Share this with a friend. We want you to know that we're expecting great things. We hope that you'll continue to join us. You can always learn more about what God is doing here at Shepherd through our app, our social media pages, and at shepnaz.org. But for Dan and Daniel, I'm Joey. Thanks for listening and have a great day.
This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.